I'm going to get all your Hollies and Amy's and everybody, Bodie's. Stand right here. Just stand here. Okay. Just to give you an idea, do you mind handing me that spine, please? Just the spine. Just the spine. Excellent. Thank you. So, okay. The very basis of innate adjusting is being in contact, connection, aware of the dura, okay? The dura fluid-filled sac. We also know that dura goes all the way out to the peripheral nerves now. We know the CSF doesn't just circulate through here from the cranial sacral pump, right? A cranial sacral pump, ultimately it's the breathing in and out of the nose, moving your jaw and moving your hips properly. How many people, they can barely breathe out of both nostrils? Cranial bones don't move, sacrum's never moving properly, right? We check sacrums all day long. So to go in something that's already just stuck, we don't have a proper flow of motion, if we want to think about it that way, right? So if we go in, there's tension here, and you can feel it. That's part of what my test is for me, what's this person hanging on to here? If this isn't moving, we're not actually bathing this neural system properly with CSF, right? Now, we can go in and say, let's just pump it and pump it and pump it and pump it, and that can actually work, right? But what you're doing is doing it your way. What we have to do is listen to what innate wants. And that spiritual consciousness is going to tell you yes or no. Okay? Pasquale, my mentor, Pasquale Sarasoli, he used to say, the adjustment comes in the pause. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And then we talked about breathing. When we breathe, there's a moment. We pause and out. In the beginning, I thought, okay, it's the breathing. Breath. I'll take a breath. I pause. I do the adjustment. Pay attention to their breath. Adjustment. And if you notice, I never ask anyone, take a breath, let it out, crunch. It's perceived relaxing for them. Because they're tension, and then there's less tension, you go whammo, right? Ultimately, that is coming from you, right? It's not really being conscious of this innate at all. Same thing with Thompson. People come in, kabang, 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 whatever it is, but you're not paying attention to this neural system of what it wants. It needs that adjustment, but what does it truly want at the moment? And has everybody heard of quantum physics? Now, have you ever heard of Schrodinger, who the father of quantum physics, Schrodinger and his cat? You know who that is? If you put a radioisotope in a cat box, and you release the lead lining or whatever it is, and you leave, at some point that cat has actually been alive and dead at the same time. There is a moment in that quantum realm, right? So we're really working in that quantum. And I've developed what Pasquale was actually talking about. We're really working in a quantum realm. And the easiest way to put it in the physical sense, okay, is paying attention to that CSF flow. So, if we're coming in, I'm going to demonstrate this on each of you because then you'll feel what I'm talking about because it's easy to feel. Now, it's not on a breath in, breath out. You're not paying as much attention to really them breathing, but really the moment where that dura, if it's a fluid-filled sac, right? Let's just say the demonstration it doesn't move that much. I mean, let's just be real. But you think about the water coming up to the beach. It pauses that one moment before it goes back out. We're adjusting in that pause. You see what I mean? So that pause, you'll feel, nope, it's not time to adjust. Just as that system, you'll feel just a moment of ease, and that's the time to deliver the adjustment. It's being conscious of the individual on the table, okay? Andy, would you mind going face down right here, please? So I'm right at her sacrum here, And Amy, I'm going to demonstrate this on you, okay? Right there is a no. You can feel that. That's not very comfortable. Right there. Do you feel that difference?
Yes.
So that's where we're talking about that Dura, pause here, no, right? But as it goes out, just like the ocean coming out, you're at that last little bit on the beach. Just take a moment. There we go. Do you feel those differences?
I do.
And then that is a no. Just immediately jumping in, no. Okay? Let me do that on each one of them. Now, chiropractors very often, we love getting, people jumping on us and everything else. So that is a yes. You can feel that. Right there's a no. Do you feel that difference? No. And that's not just because of your breath. Still no. And then it's a yes. Even with that full breath down there, did you feel that difference? If you just think about that, like a balloon, water stopping you. There it is, right there. Can you feel that? Okay, come on up. Boca abajo, por favor. That right there is a no. You feel that? Right there. You feel that difference? And there was a point your body said, I'm not sure. I felt that moment. Did you feel that? So there's a no, right? And just giving your system a break and letting up off of people. I have chiropractors that lean on me like, all right, I'm waiting for something, I'm waiting. It's like you can't breathe when someone's blocking your sacrum, right? Let's do this side. There, let me right in. You feel that? Now, I'm going to show you on your, see there, no. No. On the thoracics here. That was it. Beautifully. No, right there. It's like, no, I'm not ready. Right there. Good. Marvelous. All done. Good job. Little face paper makeup for the day. That principle anywhere in the spine, right? Just that moment of paying attention. It actually, I talk about Clarence Gonstead becoming one with the bone and really melding in there and being a part of it from wherever we are. It takes a lot of practice, I've got to say. It's not something you pick up a moment. And I'm talking about not just connecting to it, becoming one with them. And you really feel your bones, your body, your spirit, and their bones are really becoming one. That's a very, very interesting moment when you start really getting it. You feel it in your body. It's almost like your knees get weak. Like, whoa, I just felt that. It's amazing. This is just a little bit easier in the consciousness of really listening to that Dura, being a part of it. From the thoracics, so often people just, okay, I'm just going to bang on your thoracics in my time. It's not my time, it's their time. Absolutely being conscious of every delivery of that adjustment, or it's a wound, right? It becomes defense. And then the next time, that defense is going to say, hey, I'm going to shut that door more. And then you're going to use more force to break that open. And then more, right? Until it becomes what we call, could be scar tissue. You think about what happens around, every joint has a joint capsule, correct? Every joint. So each vertebra has multiple joint capsules around it. If you keep crunch, 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 what happens to that joint capsule, it actually gets more fibrous and becomes more of like a callus, okay? And then that callus becomes arthritis, other things, and ultimately it becomes more of an irritation. I have one guy that came in and I told him I won't do it anymore. He wanted occiput lifts all the time. Basically disarticulating the occiput from the atlas, okay? Well, it's this, okay? An occiput lift. I do another thing called the lift, and that's a little bit different, okay? But an occiput lift is You're doing it this way, head turn like that. Head turn like that. Sometimes it actually is very necessary, okay? But what happens is that joint capsule, the occiput, gets so irritated and you just feel like you want more of it. I just need to do that again. But it's not able to heal around there and you actually have a wound around the joint capsule. I do them very, very rarely. Once in a while I need them done on myself, but it's 3 or 4 years at a time, right? It's not something you want to do often. What was my point there? About listening to the body and being clear in what my delivery is of that adjustment. From atlas to cranial especially, and I really feel, thoracic and sacrum and lumbar. If you're paying attention to that, everything changes in that adjustment. I do it in side posture, just holding, just waiting for that one moment, you go. When we're going to get into vectors is the next point, okay? So we're paying attention to the dura, okay? We're paying attention to that dura, okay? The next thing is the vector. So this innate intelligence, we don't even realize how powerful it is sometimes. It knows when you're in the right vector of force and energy to make the biggest change in that system, right? So you'll see me, I'm on the thoracics, on the TPs, and you'll see me just these little motions. You might think I'm drunk or something, but what I'm doing is finding that right vector where the body says, that's the spot. And then it's just that light delivery. Sometimes it'll just move all by itself, which isn't really all by itself, it's a connection to your innate. But that's when the person will you didn't even have to do anything. Besides 20 years of hardcore training every day and night, to get to that point, to match your tone, to have that moment happen, right? It seems like it's easy to them. It's not necessarily easy. It's nonstop training to be the best, okay, that you can be. I'm not talking about against anybody else or comparing yourselves, but really to being the best that we can possibly be. You ever play pool or bowling or checkers or anything, Uno? We have massive Uno competitions in our house. Everybody wants to win, right? You're always trying to do your best. This is a sport as much as it's a game and anything else of really trying to be our best. And I equate this to really a professional sport because for 30, 40, I have friends practicing for over 50 years, okay? How do you do that? You're training to be a professional. Danita Hagee, we mentioned her twice today. She's a speaker at the next SNL. She's been a very close friend of mine for a very long time. At her last talk at Saturday Night Live, this was her talk of caring for yourself. Having an injury, your body being able to, handle it better, but keeping your body strong. And this was right after, in my other offices over there, we have a wooden back deck like over here, my doggy deck. Sometimes we have doggies come and they're incontinent, so we adjust them outside for obvious reasons. But it was slippery there, and there's nothing like seeing your feet in front of your face, nothing like it. So I'm like, woohoo, and land right on my sacrum on the first step, across my sacrum. I could barely move. I'm still adjusting everybody. And then I'm going to be a speaker at that SNL with Danita, and she does that talk, and I said, my God, I'm changing everything I'm talking about, because she's right. If I wasn't, would probably have been a much bigger injury if I wasn't physically stronger there, right? And big muscles don't do anything for you. It's really fast twitch muscles. But having that muscle integrity and everything else strong enough to be able to hold an injury like that. When you see people, dissipate an injury like that, it lasted me for 6 weeks. Then I could barely sit down. I adjusted straight through it. So keeping our bodies strong and healthy. Paying attention to that dura. And then the vectoring. I do the same vectoring in every single solitary adjustment I do. So if we're doing an anterior, right? Sometimes I sit people at the end. I'll show you guys very gentle anteriors. I've had people take anteriors and literally put a block behind my back, grab the sides, and go wham with all their body weight of a 220-pound man, okay? Just to try and break free that resistance that the body's saying, please don't do that. You're doing it wrong. I know it's right for you because I'm educated. The educated is the dum-dum, okay? When we pay attention to the creator of the universe, that is our innate intelligence inside of us, that actually architected all the entire cosmos, then you'll humble ourselves a little bit and say, okay, I'll pay attention to you, innate, which we have that consciousness, right? So, with an anterior, I do the same thing. Arno talked about this in MLS, okay? Of dialing in as we move, dialing in that adjustment. Now, taking that in a much more refined way, we're dialing our hand in just those little nuances, this way, that way, up, down, right till we figure that point. Innate will relax just a moment. It's usually less than a second, but for innate, that's an eternity for us. Our innate doesn't need a second. A second's a long time. It's a millisecond. Feel it, boom, here we go. It might even be you just get right into that vector, click. Okay? Some of the hard things to do is stop your impulse. And half the time it's like, whoa, okay, I could bring my impulse to be a lot less, but I'm already following through, and you'll see me dissipate my hands like this very often, so I'm not putting all my force into the person. I've caught myself, I've fallen on people, all sorts of things, because I didn't want to put that impulse into the neural system. Oh, okay, it's moved, we're stopping, it's adjusted, right? Our input is not necessary at that point. So trying to refine ourselves in those things. Same thing with adjusting the cervicals. We're finding that exact nuance of vector, that vector of energy. In upper cervical, we talk a lot about vectors. So if you don't know what vectors are, that is a line of energy that we're going to put our force through, and we are following through that vector of energy, right? A vector, like we're drawing lines and graphs, that type of thing. Okay, just like we've been doing for upper cervical exercise. So just dialing ourselves in for an amazing adjustment. This person deserves it. You deserve it. Because every adjustment you give, you also receive. Think about that. I want to deliver the best adjustments I have because I'm selfish. I also want them back. Okay? I want that energy back to me. The cleaner I am in my delivery, the cleaner I am in my receiving. Think about that vibration. Pasquale used to talk about codes. And he still does in his videos. We still talk about it. You're getting their codes when you're delivering that adjustment. The clearer that adjustment, the clearer the codes that spirit is going to share with you. This is getting to our own dimensional changes, to our own vibration enhancement, right? That's what I want in life. If I want to stay the same, just drift through life, right? You're going to get what we've always gotten. But if we're refining ourselves, always working to be better, refining our adjustment, refining our mind, refining our bodies. I'm not talking about six packs. I got a nice 1-pack, okay? And it's an excellent one. It's more like a keg. So, but that's not what I'm talking about. Your physical endurance fitness, right? To be able to adjust 190 people a day might sound like outrageous until you've adjusted 160. Oh, I want to do a little bit more. I feel great. But Sigafoods used to talk about, he'd adjust 500-600 people in a day and then go run 3 miles before he went home. And he had a home office, but before he went in the house. And he would run 3, 4, 5 miles. So it's not about energy, it's about service. You're getting your energy from them. When you're truly serving, you're thriving through them. That's what we're really doing here. That's innate adjusting. In the smallest nutshell that I can describe, there's so much more dynamic to that. So as we're improving in our adjusting, we're going to work on this. We're going to work on everything from our vocabulary, our body language, our emotions, our clarity of speech, giving our talks, delivering the most amazing adjustment that we would want to receive. Think about that, right? Where do you go? Would you go to, I don't know if I really want to go and get those shoes. They'd cover my feet. They'd keep me dry from walking in the grass, but they're Crocs and I won't put them on my feet, right? I'm sorry, I don't like Crocs. I used to pick on Birkenstocks. Now everybody's wearing Birkenstocks and they're still ugly. But Crocs are uglier. So what I would rather do is save a little bit more money and buy really high quality, something I would enjoy that is very good for my feet, but I'm also getting joy out of it as well. So I'd rather save my money and get something amazing than just, and money, time, energy, effort as well, right? Think about that. Same thing people are thinking about coming in here. They're coming here for excellence, the best that they can get, the consciousness that they're also receiving with every adjustment. Think about that. Because if it goes in, hey, crunch, 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 same thing, you know, there was this big thing about, it was probably in the 80s and 90s, they probably still do it for all I know, is, what do you call that, surgery in a chain, like the tables would move, and they'd go from table to table doing open surgeries, right? And I always thought, that sounds like such a great idea. But in reality, do we really want to feel like we're cattle for the slaughter, right? You know, it's just, you're in the what do they call that, like a supply chain? What is that? Assembly line! That's the word I was looking for. Do people want to feel like they're an assembly line? No. That's the first reason they pick on high volume practices, right? But when people are here, you gave them all the love in that moment. Great to see it. Good morning, happy to see it. Good morning, happy to see it. Put your face down. When you're done, have an awesome day. I'll see you Wednesday. Friday's your day. See you then. Don't forget to invite your friends, all right? You got all the love you needed in that moment. You didn't waste time, right? That was Dr. Sid's big thing. How you doing, right? He'd pull you in. He pulled me in, and you know, he was a big guy. Like, how you doing, hey? But ultimately, you know, that's the thing, is the love. You're loving in a moment. Loving in a moment. You're loving in a moment. You don't have to say a word. In the next room, right? We get caught up in what we think people need, right? You have no idea what anybody needs. You think about that. You have no idea what anybody needs. I know one idea. They need their subluxations first identified, second adjusted, right? First identify that subluxation. We call it detect, right? But first, I'm really identifying, where is it? Here it is. A lot of the people you see me adjusting in here, I've been adjusting for 17 years or 10 years, even 5 years. 6 months, I know their bodies very well. We've already created a rapport with their innate. The physical body might say, I don't know yet, I'm still going through all this stuff. But that innate is starting to learn, this is the right thing for me, and I start letting go a little bit easier. Every time we start seeing things starting to change. The adjustment, oh, it's so much easier now. Your body's allowing me. Because at first, I built that consciousness. I'm adjusting you with honor. I'm honoring you as a being. That's why we don't say the word patient, because I don't want to be a patient. I avoid medical systems, right? When I'm a patient and I'm sick and I've got to, you know, you think about it, you can't hold your bowels and you're vomiting, and you know, your head might fall off and your ears are bleeding if you take drugs, that also spurting blood out of your eyeballs. That's what, to me, a patient is, right? But what we are is really people, and want to be respected as a person, not a number 2,999.68, right? What we want to be as people, respecting them as people. The more you gain that level with each person, they're going to start talking about, oh man, you know, Dr. B called me when I got home. You know, that was an adjustment. I just feel different. You know, it's not always better. I feel different. Then, you know what? It's the right place for me. Dr. Holly, you know, I just felt that, you know, she cared. Right? It's that caring. In Portuguese and Spanish, they have a term, it's called carinho. That's caring. It's affection. It's not love and it's not romance, right? But this is a personal relationship we're building. So that rapport is everything. From our touch, and I always show, like, my fingertips are red. And because I put time into the consciousness of my touch. I really try and play guitar. I'm terrible at guitar, but I'm playing with my son, you know, but my fingers are so sensitive to hold the strings down. I'll be honest with you. But I've refined that. I constantly think about, what am I feeling? I started doing that in school. And then I do it with my piezoform. Do that yourself with your piezoforms on everything. You sit at the dinner table, and then you're going to start building new nerve endings there. And I think my piezoform, I think, is even more sensitive than my fingertips, honestly. You can feel emotion in people. You can feel lack. You can feel joy. You can feel happiness. You can feel sadness. Is it me that can take that away? No, I have no idea how to take your sadness away. A man's wife died the other day. I love her, I love him. There are no words that I can say to make him feel better. There are none. Except, I love you, I'm here for you. Right? Whatever. So, but that touch, what does help, really, the words don't mean anything. The hug did. Got 5 hugs before he left. And not even initiated by me. It was mostly initiated by him. Right? 6 foot tall, very big man, love him. He was crying with me. I wanted to cry with him. But it was that touch, really, that made the biggest change. And I've been serving him and his wife for 18 years, I think, something like that. Okay? So we're touching lives, we're touching spines that are also touching our lives. I try not to post things that are negative anymore. Because all those things, social media is my self on the internet. What do I want people to know me as? Right? I barely post things of my children. My wife said, let's post them this time. Because, ultimately, I want to keep them sacred to myself. But sometimes we post them. But ultimately, everything that I'm doing in social world is about chiropractic, life, vitality. The reason why we post the things about our kids and our family is really living a vitalistic life. That's what our intention was. Not to show off in any way, but really this is a vitalistic life we live. Everything we do, we try and fulfill that lifestyle really of chiropractic and what it is to be vitalistic instead of mechanistic. Sometimes we have to do both in our service, okay? So this morning was very important. We don't have much time. We're going to do our reading now, but I want you to practice those. We're going to practice them later. If we have moments in between adjustments today, we're going to practice feeling that ebb and flow, that pause. Sound good? Any questions? Nothing at all. I have all that I said. It's a lot to take in. Is this different than you've seen in adjusting or anything else?
Yeah, I've felt that in the past, but I never really thought about it in terms of you can tell sometimes where things move really easy and things.
Yep. And no one's ever put it in that way that I have heard, okay? This is basically new material in a way. How do you pay attention to those things? SOT, this is partly derived out of SOT. I'm paying attention to the Dura. It's a dural adjustment as SOT, mostly. So that was what we want to do this morning, and then we're going to refine that. This is refinement of the adjusting. If we have this one thing, I tell you, blossoms adjusting of paying attention to the Dura at each one of those segments, okay? We did a lot this morning. I really wanted to get that out. The next thing, what we're going to do is upper cervical in our adjusting. We have to have amazing upper cervical adjustments. The upper cervical people have done a very good job marketing themselves outside of chiropractic, you realize. A lot of people seek out upper cervical because they've been convinced that it's something different. It's not, okay? All this adjusting, the stuff that we just talked about, we're going to put it towards an atlas adjustment. But that is adjusting one bone, and I think they're being slighted. So all the people that are purely upper cervical, which is the smallest amount of people, there's so few. Most upper cervical people are actually full spine people, and then they adjust the upper cervical. So we're going to, and then they call themselves upper cervical. So let's be smart and call ourselves what we are as chiropractors, and not be silly and stupid about these things, and keep our profession untainted, okay? I'm against that in upper cervical, and I'm telling everybody that. And I'm not against many things. So, refining our adjustment, our voice, how we function, our communication, all these types of things we're working on every single day now, okay? Amy, the other Amy's going to be starting soon. If we can get her earlier, we will. What's going to happen is I want you to get to this point where everybody's teaching her what I just taught. My professor, you remember Boylston? This guy? Everybody picked on him. Well, he always had chalk on his hands, and he would like pull his pants up like this, but he always had like chalk prints on the front of his black pants. I love the guy. What he's changed my life, okay? I came from law school to chiropractic school. Law school is all writing essays, right? What he said, if you know it, you can teach it. And I was like, that, if someone would have told me that in 5th grade, you know, it really would have changed my life. But if you know it, you can teach it. So that's how I've studied my whole life, is we study maybe together, okay? Okay, now I think I know it. Let's go out and put it into practicality, right? So that's what we're all going to do. We're going to teach each other from first visit, second visit, third visit, finances, adjusting, communication, doing talks, all those things. Prepare yourselves. I have all this literature. These are books and manuals that I wrote, some of them. Some of them are for very good friends of mine. And we use them. We use them to train. We use them so we're all on the same page. We use them for communication, so we're using the same vocabulary, right? So this is training 101. Do they do this at the Joint? They do it at Starbucks, okay? I opened a coffee shop. I sold it at Life University. It's still at the tree house there, some of my equipment. But when I first, bought the coffee shop, I got a job at Starbucks. And I went through Starbucks training. And because what's the most successful coffee sellers on the planet? Starbucks, right? What are they doing differently? So I went in, I spent 3 weeks at, I guess it's Starbucks University or whatever, I can't even remember now. But they train you. Drinking that coffee, you talk about it. What were your notes that you got out of there? I don't know if they still do that, but it was amazing training. So training is all of it, but you also have to put in the effort. Okay? It's not up for me to motivate you. You got to motivate yourself. You got to be on time. We're going to do it, right? We're going to train. And then you keep training. I don't stop training. I have 7 weekends in a row in chiropractic for me to teach so I can get it better. I do it to help change lives, but I also, for myself. When we do a talk in the office, that day is like, woo! I feel so good. That's why I do like doing them at 7 a.m. We'll switch them if you want. So this is all for you, but it's not all from me. Okay? You get me, right? I expect something from all of you. And I expect all of you to work towards being better every day. Okay? So we can have a better office. We can have better adjusting. So we can adjust babies. So we can adjust pregnant mommies. So we can ask the people for exchange over that desk. All these different things. Making the phone call and calling to save your life. I had one man, literally, on all the heart drugs, blood pressure's through the roof, looks like he's about to die, says he's going to quit care. I call him up and I say, I'm calling you to save your life. You get your ass in here right now. You don't quit on me. You don't quit because you got all this bad negative stuff from all those killers out there that want to poison you. Get your ass in here right now. And I told him that. I said it with my level of authority. Amy, I wouldn't say that. You're to do that yourself with that level of caring. Because that man was going to die from what they were telling him. He got off all his drugs and he's still alive today. Right? No heart issues. And it's by me having the courage to tell him, get your butt in here. This was the right place. You lost hope from all those people. I'm here to give you hope or help you have consciousness of your own hope. That's bigger even, right? So you guys get that? All right, let's do some reading this morning. Woohoo! Paper! It stopped recording.